We also have 3 more core values that are important. The next one is integrity. You know, I don't believe there's any other organization of which I'm aware, other than churches and synagogues and mosques, that address the issue of integrity, of high ethical standards. But we do. That's part of our core values, what I call our Rotary DNA, is to promote high ethical standards. And we can take great pride in the fact that we're one of the few out there talking to young people about values and about success in life and about how nice guys don't finish last, as Leo DeRocher said years ago. I just saw an article about that. It reminded me of that. But people of value do finish first. They say we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And we believe that in Rotary, and we practice that. You know, it's said, and I should mention polio because it's our corporate project, and if you've not had a report on that recently, just let me give you a brief recap. And that is that we're getting very, very close to eradicating polio. Only the second disease in the world to ever be eradicated, the other one being smallpox. Although I will tell you, happily, that the Carter Center is very close to eradicating guinea worm disease, which is a scourge in parts of the world. So if we're number 3, that's okay with me, just as long as we get the job done. But stop and think that in 1979, when we undertook this quest, there were 500,000 cases of paralytic polio a year. That was after the United States was virtually polio-free. 500,000 cases, over 1,000 a day, 50,000 deaths. And we started immunizing children in the Philippines, and it worked so well. Then we moved to the Gambia, to Sierra Leone, to Bolivia. It worked every time, and so we undertook this quest to raise enough money to immunize all the children in the world. And we didn't raise the 120 million goal, we raised 247 million. We just were discovering our potential of making the world a better place. And then we joined hands with the World Health Organization, with Centers for Disease Control, and with UNICEF, 4 spearheading partners. And we've reduced the incidence of polio from 350,000 in 1988 last year to 1,200. 99% reduction. Now, the even better news is that there have been 2 bastions of polio, 2 countries where we just have not been able to really get the number of cases down. It was 2 provinces in India and 1 province in Nigeria. But I want to tell you the good news. In 2009, India, which has always led the world in the number of polio cases, 2009 had 700 cases. Last year had 41. This year, 1. Wow. Nigeria in 2009 had 500 cases. Last year had 21. This year, 5. So we really are making progress. Now, the way we immunize children in developing countries because they have no health records is that we try to immunize all the children in a single weekend. We put a little drop of indelible ink on their fingers so we'll know they've been immunized, and then we start searching for all the children who do not have the purple pinky. And we have Rotary teams going out called National Days of Immunizations. And as we wind down, those are going to come to an end in 3, 4, 5 years. And I encourage Rotarians, if they've not made a significant contribution to polio eradication, or if they've not gone on an NID, they should do so. It's a life-changing experience. You just can't go to a developing country and begin to realize that 1/3 of the world's population lives at subsistence level or below without it changing your life. Annalee Hussey is here. She was introduced as the current district governor. She's one of the Rotarians in the world who lead NIDs. I think Annalee's last one was to Nigeria, but it's so important for Rotarians to have that opportunity that I've asked for a workshop at the Rotary Convention in New Orleans on that topic, and Annalee is the leader. I've also asked for a booth where Rotarians can walk by and inquire, how do we get on an NID team? And Brad Howard from California will be chairing that. So think seriously. If you've joined Rotary since the first campaign in 1985 to 1988, or the second campaign in the early 2003, then think about making a contribution. We've received $355 million from the Gates Foundation in return for us agreeing to raise $200 million more. We're at 160. We're doing well, but we still need $40 million to finish the job, to be sure that Rotary is there to the end. And one of the things we're doing at the board level in Rotary is to be sure that when that last case comes, that we have a public relations campaign ready to go that will assure us of receiving our fair share of the credit. Think of the favorable publicity that's going to come to Rotary when we do achieve that last case. And finally, 3 years later, the certification of a polio-free world. It's really something that we can look forward to. We can be proud of the fact that we're Rotarians, but you'll be even prouder if you participate, either by contribution or participating in an NID. Well, the avenue of service that I haven't mentioned is international service, and clubs do their own things. I'm very proud of the fact that clubs are autonomous. At Rotary International, we try to give you a menu of opportunities, but it's up to clubs to decide what they want to do. I would just mention to you quickly that some of the projects that I've seen in my travels have been unbelievable. And by contributing to the Rotary Foundation, we fund these projects. I was in Brazil recently, up in Recife, way up in the northeast corner. And I was taken to see a bus that had been purchased by the Rotary Foundation about 6 years ago. And it had been converted into a surgical unit for cataract surgeries. And the same surgeon that started out in that bus 6 years ago is still there. Takes him about 10 minutes to do a cataract surgery, free of charge. And do you know how many he's done in 6 years? 10,000. That's what our money has produced. So we can take great pride. I was in Zambia, and I was taken to a bridge, pedestrian bridge that the Rotary Foundation had helped to fund. And I saw this big pedestrian bridge, big pile of earth, then the bridge, another pile of earth, over this little stream. I thought, wow, something's gone wrong here. Why do we build this big bridge over a stream that you can jump across? Well, then I found out that in flood stage, the Zambezi River backs up into this stream, this river, and it cuts off the population south of town from the population in town, cuts off the young children from the schools that they attend. You can't even drive a car. You have to go way around. And the problem is that when the Zambezi River is in flood, the crocodiles come up that stream from the Zambezi River, and we've lost children. And so this bridge is there for the flood stage. And it's done with the money that you've helped. We help children go to school, help people go to work, simply by sitting in our clubs and sending some money to the Rotary Foundation. You know, recently, A group of graduate students at Northwestern University in Evanston, where Rotary is headquartered, asked permission to do a study of Rotary International as a case study. And when they finished the case study and filed their report, they said some things that most of us have been aware of. Our terminology is pretty far out of date. We're still singing songs 100 years old. Young people don't care much for that, but let me tell you what the students said about core essence of Rotary. They said that the core essence of Rotary is a worldwide network of inspired individuals who translate their passions into relevant social causes to change lives in communities. Is that not a tribute from young people who know nothing about Rotary but have studied this? And the question is, can we maintain that? Will we continue to deserve that? Well, I'm convinced that Rotary, that polio eradication has placed us on the world stage, and that our best days are still ahead. That this club, instead of being 100 years old, will eventually succeed in being 150 and then 200 years old, as long as we remain true to the core values of Rotary. Because we really are making the world a better place. And the interesting thing is that the thing we should be proudest of, when it comes to making the world a better place, we do it better than anybody else in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, President Ray, for those inspiring words. It's exciting, isn't it, to know that we're part of such a thriving international organization with so many wins, so much success. And President Ray, we are doing our share here in Buffalo. Our Rotary Club, very successful and well-regarded, and we're making a difference in the lives of young people and old people in Western New York. So thank you again for sharing all of your comments tonight.